Welcome to a brand new edition of our daily news program, broadcast to you live here on Canal Algérie. Coming up next. Important decisions are adopted by the Council of Ministers chaired by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. The memory file remains a top priority for the President of the Republic in his message addressed on the occasion of May 8, 1945 massacres anniversary. And good news for Air Algérie clients as the company unveils a mouth-watering offer to the benefit of families via the Osra program. And Algeria strongly condemns the Zionist aggression on Gaza targeted by the occupier war machinery. Welcome again. First of all, the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Abdelmajid Tebboune, presided over a Council of Ministers meeting devoted to presentations related to retirement allowance, the status of the pharmaceutical staff, the follow-up of the digitization operation, in addition to another joint presentation. Melissa Kovash tells us more.
After opening the meeting, the President of the Republic gave the word to the government's General Secretary so as to present the meeting's agenda. The Prime Minister then proceeded to present for his part the government's activity over the last 2 weeks. And after the presentation of government members, the President of the Republic gave the following guidelines. Regarding the basic laws of medical and paramedical staff, the Council approved the draft basic bills and compensation systems for employees belonging to the medical and paramedical staff. The President directed the Health Minister to continue preparing legal texts that guarantee the privacy of the medical and paramedical staff. As for reviewing pensions and retirement allowances, the President affirmed that the decision to raise pensions to retirees stems from the state's recognition for their efforts deployed during their career, as it will reach 10 to 15% on all retirees, allowing them to improve their living conditions. About the production and distribution of lubricants in Algeria, the President instructed the Prime Minister to coordinate with the industry, energy, finance and trade ministers to prepare a legal framework that regulates this field and determines its criteria, standards and quality of lubricants allowed on the national market. The head of state ordered that the company Naftal takes over the production, increases its shares, and undertakes the process of marketing and importing lubricants which are not manufactured locally, while beginning to develop the necessary technologies to produce them locally. Concerning a draft bill related to waste management, control and removal, the President instructed the environment officials to coordinate with their counterparts in the interior and housing sectors under the supervision of Prime Minister to prepare a plan in the environment and urbanization which will reconsider the waste sorting and distribution system. He also ordered the creation of emerging institutions specialized in the field of waste recycling, especially since this field has an important economic impact. The President stressed the need of mobilization to improve our country's brand while reconsidering some regulatory texts. As for the follow-up of the digitization process, the head of state emphasized the great importance of cybersecurity in the process of digitization, hailing the ongoing efforts made to complete this project. Regarding the finance sector, the President asked the Finance Minister to coordinate with the Central Bank and the Association of Banks and Financial Institutions to review the high bank's interest rates. Finally, for the general guidelines, the head of state instructed the Energy Minister to convey his gratitude to all personnel of the company Sonalgas for their remarkable efforts deployed to meet the national needs, especially when it comes to electricity projects. He also enjoined the Labour Minister to speed up the implementation of new laws related to the right to practice union activity.
In the President of the Republic's Abdelmajid Tebboun's message on the eve of the National Memory Day, commemorating the 79th anniversary of May 8, 1945 massacres, he highlighted the profound significance of this day in Algeria's history. He recalled the brutal massacres perpetrated by colonial forces and the subsequent uprising of the Algerian people for freedom. President Tebboune emphasized the importance of preserving the memory of these events, which he described as a resounding announcement of the imminent start of the armed struggle for liberation on November 1, 1954. The head of state also hailed the Algerian people for their historic and memorable uprising in cities like Serif, Galma, Kharata and Ain Timoshent, which surprised the colonizer and ultimately led to a genocide and a crime against humanity. He emphasized that the memory of these sacrifices, which resulted in 45,000 martyrs, should be honored and preserved as a national day of remembrance, glorifying the nation's journey of struggle and resistance against colonialism. President Tebboune underscored the state's commitment to preserving the memory of the Algerian people's sacrifices and ensuring that their legacy remains central to the nation's identity and sovereignty. He also emphasized that the memory file is unalienable and cannot be subject to concession. President Tebboune also stressed the need for an objective and bold treatment of the sensitive file to do justice to historical truth. In conclusion, President Tebboune renewed the Algerian people's fidelity to the oath of the martyrs and their commitment to preserving the legacy while following their path towards a strong and sovereign Algeria. Long live Algeria, concluded the President of the Republic. In other news, and representing the President of the Republic, the Minister of Agriculture, Youssef Sharfa, is taking part, starting from today, in the proceedings of the African Summit on Fertilizers and Soil Health held in Nairobi, Kenya. This three-day summit aims to bring together all relevant parties and stakeholders to highlight the role of fertilizers and soil health in promoting sustainable and favorable agricultural growth in Africa. During his address, Youssef Sharfa highlighted Algeria's achievements in this field and its efforts to strengthen the use of fertilizers to develop national agricultural production and increase productivity. In other news, the Interior Minister, still in Khenchla, highlighted the positive role of civil society as a link between citizens and state institutions. Brahim Arad made this statement during a meeting with representatives of civil society and elected locals of the province. And good news for Air Algérie customers. The national airlines company is launching a family offer, reducing prices from and to Algeria for people traveling with family members. A first of its kind, highly welcomed by customers. Ines Kilo with more.
Usra or family is the new offer launched by the national airlines company Air Algérie to the benefit of Algerian families who will granted substantial discounts when traveling to and from Algeria.
C'est une offre qui n'a pas eu de précédent parce que depuis on va aller un peu plus loin.
It's an unprecedented offer granting important discounts when taking into account the travel period, which runs from June to September, is the high season or the summer season. This offer is subject to certain conditions, what we call eligibility conditions. So for families, there is an age limit. Children must be under 20 years. Even couples, moms and dads, are entitled to this offer. The launch of the Usra offer was hailed by the company's clients.
Les enfants doivent avoir moins de 20 ans. La particularité, même le couple, le papa et la maman, ont droit à cette offre.
It's a good initiative. Let's hope it lasts. It's a good thing, and I'd like to thank Air Algérie for its willingness to try and offer better prices for big families.
And how can be otherwise when the offer is considered unbeatable for families?
On a même cumulé Il y a ce qu'on appelle la réduction enfant.
We've even added what we call the child discount, which is an international discount. It can be combined with the first one, as Algérie offers more than 70% on the flight fees, and we combined it with the child fare and baby fare, to which are international discounts in line with the international standards. There are several booking and purchase channels, so there are the Air Algérie agencies spread out across the 58 provinces. There are also several applications to facilitate the purchase operations.
Il y a le site web. Et il y a la télévente. On peut faire même les réservations et nos achats par téléphone.
These new measures are likely to offer good holidays for Algerian families eager to travel and let steam off with less budget, regardless of their number.
In a different context, and as part of the implementation of the 2024 Annual Combat Readiness Program approved by the Army General Chief of Staff of the PNA, the Command of the Air Defense Forces of the territory carried out an exercise of research and rescue of an aircraft in distress, SAREX 2024, in Desert Zone in Ghardaya province. The force military region and various structures of the Ministry of the National Defense and the civil authorities of the province. Further insights with Ines Klo.
The strong winds and sandstorms that accompany the search and rescue maneuvers for a civil aircraft in distress made a major contribution to testing and assessing the operational efficiency of personnel and resources in desert areas.
The aim of the SAREX 2024 drill is to test the reaction of military and civilian authorities to an air disaster, while also checking the implementation of the National Plan for Aircraft in Distress and evaluating and coordinating the management of search and rescue operations.
Once the location of the planned crash has been established and the search-rescue plan has been activated, the missions are assigned and each player must fulfill his tasks with the necessary speed and professionalism.
We have introduced airborne resources under the command of the Air Forces to search for and locate the wreckage of the plane that crashed. We have also set up 2 command centers, the first fixed at the province and the second operational at the crash site after the disaster.
The wali or governor who is in charge of the region is informed so that the parameters of the rescue plan can be activated and all the human and material resources mobilized.
All the interventions are at the required level, in particular with regards to heavy equipment such as helicopters and aircrafts belonging to the People's National Army, which fulfilled their mission as required. All the players were present in force and coordination went on as aspired and expected.
The exercise was a great success and achieved its objectives, particularly those related to enhancing knowledge, sharing experience, and assessing coordination between the military and civilian authorities in such conditions.
Onto this new development, Algeria issued a strong condemnation of the military actions undertaken by the Zionist occupation forces in the city of Rafah in southern Gaza. These actions, perceived as a preparation for ground offensive against the Palestinian enclave, have raised serious concerns in Algeria, such as such an escalation could result in a massacre and a humanitarian catastrophe of unprecedented proportions. The Algerian government emphasized that these developments underscore the Zionists' persistent intent to carry out their plans aimed at the extermination of the Palestinian people and the displacement of those who survive. This blatant disregard for the international community's calls for the implementation of a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the initiation of a political process leading to the establishment of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state. Algeria calls on the international community to take urgent and decisive action to exert pressure on the Zionist occupation forces, the goal being to compel them to halt their aggression and to cease providing them with the means to continue their genocidal campaign against innocent Palestinians for the past 7 months. Algeria area has warned that if the Zionist aggression continues against Gaza and escalates, potentially culminating in a ground offensive in Rafah, the consequences could be severe. Such actions would not only endanger the lives of innocent civilians, but also threaten the prospects for peace and security in the region for the generations to come. Another bloody night in Rafah, where dozens of Palestinians were killed and injured following fierce bombardments of the Zionist army, which also took over the only borderland crossing with Egypt, the only corridor for humanitarian aid trucks. The inhabitants of this region, who were already displaced many times, are now obliged to flee once again with nowhere to go. And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.